Right. Hello, everyone. Greetings of the day. Dear authors and invited guests, welcome to Technical Session 10A. Myself, Prashi, and this session will be moderated by me. On behalf of Global Knowledge Research Foundation and GR Scholastics, it is my great pleasure to welcome you to the 10th World Conference on Information Communication, Systems, Software, Security, and Sustainability, WorldS4 2026, London, UK. The 10th edition of this conference is being organized in a hybrid mode. The physical event has been held yesterday in London, UK, and the virtual event is being held through Zoom from 29th to 30th of July 2026. I hope you will enjoy the knowledgeable and interactive session through the day. In this session, we have 6 presentations. Each presenter will be given 12 minutes for their presentations and 3 minutes for the question and answers. On the 10th minute, I will be raising a gentle reminder. I repeat, on the 10th minute, I will be raising a gentle reminder. If you have any queries, and there is another request to all the participants that you stay connected with us till the closing remarks. If you have any queries or any updates, then you can write it to me in the chat box given down below. Just before we start our session, I would like to introduce you all to the chair for our session, Dr. Uttam Chauhan. Dr. Uttam Chauhan is an associate professor in the Computer Engineering Department at the Government Engineering College, Mudasa, Gujarat, India. With 20 years of extensive academic and research experience in higher education, his core technical interest encompasses natural language processing, text mining, machine learning, and deep learning. We welcome you to the session, sir. Before we start, would you like to address our participants, sir?
Yes.
All right. With sir's permission, I would like to take the first presenter, if sir permits. Sir, may I take the first presenter?
Sure.
Okay. All right. I'll just call upon our first presenter for this session. Sir Nyong Chang Nya presenting a paper on the title Classification Performance of Simple Signals in an Autocorrelation Receiver. I request you, sir, to kindly take over with your presentation, please.
Yes, thank you. I want to share my presentation.
Yes, sir.
Before that, I want to welcome you all.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Dear colleagues, today I'm very
Just
pleased.
a second, sir. Just a second. Yes, sir. Uttam, sir.
Yes, I welcome all the presenters in this version of World Conference on Information Communication Systems.
I'm really sorry, sir, but you are not clearly audible. I'm really sorry, sir.
Am I audible?
You're audible, sir. However, there is some issues. I mean, we cannot clearly hear you.
Okay, we can start straightforward. Sure.
Now I was able to hear you. Now I'm able to hear you, sir.
We can start with presenter 1.
Okay. So, Chang, I request you to kindly start with your presentation, please.
Thank you. So, good, dear colleagues, today I'm very pleased to talk about an interesting topic with the title Classification Performance Simple Signal in an Autocorrelation Receiver. As we know that an autocorrelation receiver can be employed in surveillance and communication system to identify the type and operating the mode of radiation flux in the absence of the prior signal information. In this work, the autocorrelation receiver is defined as a system comprising broadband analog front-end with frequency conversion to an intermediate frequency range and a narrowband processing unit based on autocorrelation. And the performance of signal is governed by the received pulse duration and the length of the fast Fourier transform window. And the study provide an estimate of the signal to noise ratio SNR required to achieve a specific probability of correct classification of simple radio pulse at a fixed false alarm rate. And the results show that increasing the pulse duration while maintaining a fixed FFT window and consequently, the probability of the correct classification improve under this condition. And furthermore, high receiver efficiency is achieved when the ratio of the FFT window length to the pulse duration it keep below 10. And the theory of received signal classification in an autocorrelation receiver. As we know that autocorrelation based on signal is an effective approach to handling received signal in a modern communication system operating under condition of incomplete or unknown prior information. A key advantage of this method is its ability to perform signal type identification during the reception process without requiring the full observation of the transmitted pulse. And this feature is particularly relevant in communication scenarios when rapid signal analysis is required for tasks such as spectrum monitoring, interference analysis, and adaptive receiver operation. And furthermore, autocorrelation techniques are capable of processing a wide range of communication waveform, including both simple pulse-based signal and common use modulated formats such as linear frequency modulated and phase shift keying. As a result, signal and signal classification can be performed before the complete receiver symbol interval, enabling near real-time operation and improving the responsiveness of communication and signal monitoring system. And from figure 1, we can see that the procedure of determining signal modulation types in an autocorrelation-based processing unit has been previously described in detail in some reference. In general, it is well established that the spectral characteristics of the low frequency and different frequency components obtained after nonlinear signal multiplication and determined by the modulation type of the received signal. In addition, the spectral behavior observed tries a carrier frequency after processing with a delayed replica of the signal exhibit similar dependencies on the signal structure. And this property forms the theoretical basis for autocorrelation-based classification methods in communication and signal processing system. And in contrast, the binary phase shift keying signal exhibit different behavior due to the abrupt phase transition, which lead to partial cancellation effect in the different frequency component after frequency doubling. And the overall, the distinct spectral separation between unmodulated and modulated signal classes provides a robust basis for modulation type of classification in autocorrelation-based receiver. On this basis, a mathematical model of the signal processing operation is developed, and the analytical expression describing the system response to simple signal are subsequently derived. As well as we can see that the bandpass filter at different frequency, low frequency component filtering of multiplier output signal and low frequency component filtering of the multiplier output signal and bandpass filter at the different frequency of the multiplier output signal. And the research and discussion, as we can see that from figure 3 and 4, the dependence of the probability of the correct classification of simple signal on SNR for different value of the ratio, and the dependence of the probability of the correct classification of simple signal on SNR for different value of the ratio. And conclusion, this paper has analyzed the performance of an autocorrelation-based receiver applied to signal detection and classification in communication system operating under condition of limited prior information. And the study focuses on simple radio pulse, which are common encountered in communication-related and radar-assisted communication environment, where robust and efficient signal processing is required. And the obtained result demonstrate the detection of classification performance of the considered system is primarily determined by the input signal to noise ratio and the relationship between fast Fourier transform, window duration, and the pulse duration. In particular, reliable detection of the simple radio pulse require an SNR approximately 2 dB, and although this requirement may appear relatively high compared to the certain conversion communication signal technique. And thanks for the attention. Thank you.
Thank you so
Yes,
much,
Mr.
sir.
Neil.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir, please continue, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So, Mr. Neil, thanks for the presentation. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, my question to you is, what type of simple signals were considered used?
Thanks for the question. I want to, it is very an interesting question, so I want to answer that. In this paper, the author considered using the autocorrelation based receiver to detection and then classify the type of signal under the condition of limited prior information. So this approach focused on the simple radio pulse and the obtained research demonstrate that detection and classification is very effective. And thanks for the question.
Okay, and why have you chosen auto correlation? Why have you chosen to evaluate this auto correlation based receiver?
Uh, Thanks for the question. And our experiment is demonstrated the dependent of the probability of correct classification of simple signal on SNF from different ratio of F and the dependence of probability of correct classification on SNF for different value. Thanks for the question.
Okay, for answer. Last question, how does the performance of the correlation receiver compare with other conventional signal classification?
Thanks for the question. I want to answer that that our performance of signal processing is governed by the received pulse duration, the length of fast Fourier transform, and this study provide an estimation of the signal to noise ratio required to achieve the specified probability of correct classification of the simple radio pulse at the fixed force alarm rate. Thank you. Thanks for
Okay,
the question. Mhm.
thank you.
Thank
This
you
is
so
not-
much. Thank you so much for
Thank
your
you.
presentation, sir. Thank you so
Mhm.
much. Now I'd
Thank you.
like to
Thank you.
call upon our next presenter for this session. Our next presenter is Upahar Goyal, presenting a paper on the title Enhancing Cybersecurity in Software Development Using Role-Based Access Control and Agentic AI. I request you to kindly take over with your presentation, sir.
Sure. Yeah, thank you for this opportunity to present. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Give me 1 second. All right. So yeah, once again, yeah, thank you for this opportunity. I'm going to be presenting on this topic, enhancing cybersecurity using role-based access control and agentic AI. on behalf of all the co-authors listed here. Um, so, modern software development these days, depends on cloud native infrastructure and CI/CD pipelines to improve the delivery speed of the software. However, in doing so, it creates an expanded, trust boundary where the hackers or malicious actors can take advantage of these complex trust boundaries to um, you know um, kind of infiltrate the systems. For example, source code changes can be across different repositories. Deployment pipelines use several secrets, service principals, different AD apps, for example. There are different infrastructure as code and infrastructure as platform tools that are used for deployments. And of course, production deployments and sometimes even non-production deployments need deployment approvals. So there are different services that work on top of these pipelines to get those approvals out. And there are different rollout controls, right? So all of these surfaces kind of act as complex trust boundaries across different repositories, right? So if you look at the threat model, across these boundaries, you would see that, for example, in the case of credential compromise, a hacker can obtain a valid password or a token, and then he can use it, he or she can use it for repository access, for deployment controls or approvals. And of course, they can retrieve the secrets as well. Similarly, in the case of privilege escalation, um, there can be legitimate low privilege users who try to attempt or perform actions of high privilege users. Um, there can be some insider misuse, as in um, legitimate users whose actions are abnormal for their expected behavior. Pipeline abuse can be there in the sense that, let's say you're attempting a production deployment, but you're attempting it outside of the approved release window. And of course, there is always the case of excessive permissions that have been granted to the user when they don't actually need it. So, in modern software delivery systems, the threat model is expanded to across all these surfaces. A realistic failure mode can be where, let's say, a developer credential is compromised, and an attacker can sign in from an untrusted network and then modify the release pipeline, and these changes can then reach production very easily, right? So RBAC solves the issue of who are you, giving the permissions that are necessary for that user or developer or whoever the release manager is. But it cannot solve the question of, what you're doing, from where, and when, and whether that context is allowed in that particular scenario, right? So that's what this is talking about here, where classical RBAC grants, the limitations of classical RBAC are that it grants the same kind of access across different contexts, right? It is static and has a very limited context. However, modern CI/CD pipelines need some context, as in business hours restriction, some trusted network validation. Uh, there can be behavior anomaly evidence or detection that is needed. The current pipeline state, all of that, RBAC does not evaluate, right, in itself. So the contribution of this paper is essentially to combine all of these three parameters: RBAC, the context under which that change is being made, as well as use AI agents to kind of monitor that behavior, learn that behavior over time, and then detect anomalous patterns. Um, this is the main contribution of the work, where we integrate deterministic RBAC along with context enforcement, and combine that with autonomous kind of agent audit intelligence, right? Uh, so the architecture of our work was essentially we have an auth layer, for example, which verifies and enforces multi-factor authentication. We have an RBAC engine which resolves the user's roles and inherited permissions. It supports least privilege enforcement across development and operational teams. We have a context engine where it evaluates the runtime constraints. Like I mentioned, business hour restriction, for example, or trusted network validation. And then we have the agentic AI auditor, which actually evaluates whether the request is unusual for that particular, let's say, time of day compared to the historical behavior for that user, right? And then it calculates a score. And based on that score, if that score exceeds the threshold, we say that um, if the score exceeds that threshold, we essentially are able to say that that anomaly score tells us that it's a malicious or action that is taken out of context, out of the current context, and is a malicious action, basically, right? And then it can identify these recurring context violations, identify excess permissions that are granted for that particular role, um, right? Our access decision model is basically based on, let's say, for a user and a resource, the access is governed. It's basically a function of the roles, permissions, and the context. The role is who is requesting that role. If the permissions are over provisioned, and of course the context in which those permissions are granted. So we have a simple algorithm that does that. We get the user role, get the permissions. If, let's say, the um, uh, resource, or if the permissions are not granted for that resource, of course we deny that role. We have a validate context engine that validates that context and denies if it returns false. And of course, our agentic layer, it computes a score, and if the score is greater than a particular threshold, then we trigger an alert and an explanation. Right? We return that decision and log that decision. So the scores that I'm talking about, there are two scores. One is a behavioral deviation where we look at the observed behavior and compute it using the learned behavior from the past and the standard deviation. And if that score exceeds that threshold, it signals that it's either an unusual access time of the day, it's an unfamiliar network, possibly repeated denials for that user trying to get access, or these are privilege escalation attempts. We also have a PES, which is a privilege access score, which tells us if the role is over provisioned or if it's following a tighter least privilege alignment. Right. So what we've done is that this policy enforcement layer can be run as a service in front of our CI/CD resource, or as a middleware. I mean, we have the choice. It essentially is kept intentionally lightweight so that it gives a simple statistical deviation. Future work on this can involve using advanced models to detect or compute these scores. Currently, we use a simple mathematical statistical deviation. Um, so in our experimental setup, we've seen that classical RBAC gives 92% accuracy, versus when we use agents to detect that anomaly and send out alerts, it improves the accuracy to 98.21%. We were able to block 26 out of the 28 attempts. Um, and in the case of enterprise deployments, we can, like I mentioned, place these in front of the CI/CD platforms, and have this auditor consume these audit events asynchronously, compute the score asynchronously, and kind of generate and recommend policy reviews, and send out alerts. Some of the limitations of our work are that, of course, this was a simulated CI/CD environment and not a production environment, right? Of course, our statistical anomaly score is this against like a distributed multi-cloud deployment, or for example, sometimes there are specific government clouds. We haven't evaluated this work against those restricted clouds. Yeah, that's basically our presentation. Have any questions? Be happy to take that now.
Hello?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. May I proceed with questions?
Yes, please, sir.
Okay. So you have shown 5 threads, right? 5 thread
Sorry?
categories initially.
Correct.
Initially, you have
Yes.
shown.
Yes.
So are they just most common or the exhaustive list of the threads?
These are the most common threats. Of course, this is not an exhaustive list of threats, but yeah, the most common threats that we've observed in our experience, getting data from security teams across Microsoft, for example.
So where exactly does agentic AI fit into this particular?
We have the agentic AI is basically the auditor. It essentially, so let me bring up that slide. Um, on. So agentic AI is the auditor. It essentially the policy enforcement layer, um, when it detects anomalies, it emits events, and those based on those events, the agentic AI sends out alerts, computes these two scores, and based on that, it recommends policy enforcement recommendations. And that's
Right.
that's the application of the agent here. We haven't used any advanced models, like I mentioned. That is future work, but yeah, that is an area where we can further use advanced AI models in the future.
Okay. And what happens when the agent itself is compromised or manipulated?
When the agent itself is compromised, so that's a great question. So the way we use the agentic AI auditor in this case is using managed identities, and so there are no um, there are no control plane um, surfaces where the threat actor can possibly use to exploit the vulnerability or in the agentic AI auditor, because we use managed identities and there are no secrets that are used here to kind of connect to the agentic AI auditor. There are specific access policies that are enforced, and managed identity is used. Um, so yeah.
Okay, fine. All questions from my side. Thank you. Thank you. It's very nice presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your presentation. Now, I would like to call upon our next presenter. Our next presenter is Tokozani will be presenting a paper on the title From Manual to Machine Assisted, Investigating the Practical Effects of Digital Transformation on Auditing. I request you to kindly take over with your presentation, sir.
Thank you, Prashi. Let me just share my screen.
Yes, sir.
Can you see my screen there?
Yes, we can, sir.
All right, thank you. Good day, everyone. My name is Thokozani Hlubi, and I'm pleased to present our research titled From Manual to Machine Assisted, where we investigated the practical effects of digital transformation on auditing. Digital transformation is reshaping every aspect of business, and the auditing profession is no exception. Technologies such as automation, data analytics, artificial intelligence, and computer-assisted audit tools are becoming standard features of modern audit environments. Rather than asking whether the digital transformation is taking place, our study explores how it is transforming audit processes and practice. Specifically, we investigate the practical effects of these changes and examine what they mean for auditors, audit firms, and the organizations they serve. The literature clearly shows that digital technologies are transforming auditing. However, most previous studies focus on describing technologies rather than explaining their practical impact on everyday audit work. This represents an important research gap. Our research, therefore, had three objectives. First, to investigate how digital transformation affects audit processes. Second, to understand how automation improves the effectiveness and efficiency. And finally, to develop a practical framework that organizations can use when implementing digital transformation within auditing. I will keep the methodology section brief. So we adopted a qualitative research approach using rich picture workshops within the soft systems methodology. This provided a structured, iterative process for exploring the real-world complexities of digital transformation in the auditing practices. 12 experienced auditing professionals participated in the
Sorry for
collaborative
the
workshop.
interruption.
Yes?
Sorry for the interruption, but could not see the slides moving.
The slides are not moving.
Prashi, hello, Prashi. Prashi, ma'am,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
could you
Just
see
a
the slide
second.
moving?
I just thought, 1 second. So could you please move the presentation? I mean, could you please go on the second slide?
Okay. Okay, I'm on the second slide now.
Oh, it's not moving, sir. 1 second.
Okay, let me do this. Do you see it now?
We are actually right now you're not presenting.
Okay, I don't know what's happening
Maybe
here.
possible. There are two windows, two separate windows,
Yeah.
and not you're not sharing the F5, the slideshow. You're not presenting the slideshow. Maybe possibly.
Is it now? Are you seeing the PDF one?
Yeah, right now I can see the PDF file. I just request you to kindly try to switch on to the next one.
Oh, okay. And then now
Yeah.
you're seeing the.
Yes,
Oh,
yes, correct.
okay. Apologies for that. Because I was sharing the second screen, so I thought maybe That's why you couldn't see it. So I'll just continue as it is. Could I
Yes.
just do this? Apologies for that. Okay, I think we were on the third slide, which is the research methodology. Can you still see it?
Yes, sir, we can see the third slide.
Oh, okay, no, thank you. So yeah, as I was saying there, that 12 experienced audit professionals participated in the collaborative workshops where they used rich pictures to visually represent challenges and opportunities associated with digital transformation. The workshop data were analyzed using inductive thematic analysis, allowing codes and themes to emerge directly from the data. This process resulted in three major themes. The first theme focused on the integration of digital tools. Participants explained that auditors are moving away from traditional sampling methods and increasingly analyzing complete data sets in real time. This allows earlier identification of risks and supports more informed decision making. Another important finding was that digital tools are now integrated throughout the audit process rather than being used simply as support tools. Participants also highlighted improvements in collaboration through shared digital platforms, dashboards, and iterative reporting. Overall, digital transformation is changing the auditor's role from performing routine compliance tasks toward providing analytical insights and strategic advice. The second theme explored the audit effectiveness. Participants constantly described automation as one of the biggest drivers of improved audit quality. Routine activities such as data extraction, compliance testing, and transaction testing are increasingly automated. This enables auditors to spend more time evaluating risks, interpreting evidence, and applying professional judgment. However, participants also cautioned against over-reliance on automated outputs. Output should support auditors rather than replace critical thinking and professional skepticism. This balance between technology and human judgment emerged as one of the most important factors. The third theme focused on efficiency. Participants explained that automation significantly reduces repetitive manual work, resulting in faster audit completion without compromising quality. Automation also allows organizations to deploy skilled auditors where they create the greatest value instead of spending time on administrative activities. An important implication is that auditors now require different competencies. Digital literacy, analytics, and continuous learning are becoming just as important as traditional auditing skills. One of the major contributions of this research is the implementation of a framework developed from our findings. The framework is grounded in three dimensions identified through themes from the research study. The framework consists of 4 stages. The first stage focuses on aligning digital technologies with organizational audit strategies, which would produce a clear structured integration plan that positions technology as a supportive tool rather than as a replacement for auditor expertise. The second stage recognizes that successful transformation depends on developing digital skills while maintaining professional judgment. The third stage focuses on redesigning audit workflows so automation improves efficiency without reducing transparency or accountability. And finally, ethical governance ensures that digital transformation remains responsible by addressing issues such as algorithmic transparency, accountability, and trust. Collectively, these 4 stages provide a structured and practical roadmap for audit firms seeking to implement digital transformation while maintaining the integrity, quality, and ethical standards of an audit process. Our findings have both practical and theoretical implications. Practically, audit firms should adopt a phased approach to digital transformation by aligning technology with business strategies, investing in workforce capability, redesigning workflows, and strengthening governance. And theoretically, this research extends existing digital auditing literature by introducing a framework that integrates strategy, skills, organizational processes, and governance into one continuous transformation model. In conclusion, our research demonstrates that digital transformation fundamentally changes the auditing profession. Technology improves effectiveness, efficiency, collaboration, and audit quality. However, technology alone is not enough. Successful digital transformation requires skilled auditors, redesigned processes, and strong governance. Ultimately, digital transformation should not replace auditors. It should enable them to move beyond routine tasks and contribute to greater strategic value. Thank you for your attention. This concludes my presentation. We welcome any questions if there are questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I'll just ask our session chair, Dr. Uttam. Sir, do we have any questions from your end?
Yes, sir. Yes, I have a few questions.
Okay.
Okay. So where do you place this shift on a spectrum from machine assisted to machine led, in which the algorithm itself makes a call?
So I couldn't hear your question properly.
Okay, I repeat my question.
Yes.
Where do you place this shift, that the digital transformation shift, on a spectrum of machine assisted digital transformation to machine led digital transformation?
Maybe if you can elaborate on your question, because it's a bit unclear on my side.
Okay. I mean, today we have sort of AI, agentic AI, and generative, in which a machine itself leads the transformation, right? So, what do you think? Where could you place this particular point in machine manual to machine assisted digital transformation?
Okay. If I'm understanding the question, sir, I think in terms of the digital, I think machine learning, when it comes to audit processes, if I'm not mistaken, I see that a lot of audit firms are using quite a lot of digital tools. So I would say that machine learning plays an important role within the auditing field as of now.
And in your findings, what is driving this transformation? Client, regulator, what is driving this transformation?
I think what's driving this transformation is as time goes on and a lot of technologies are being developed. For instance, artificial intelligence is there. So a lot of organizations wouldn't want to be left behind by continuously using manual ways of auditing, and moving towards a more digitized platforms would actually enhance their work as well.
So is this transformation already happening broadly across firms of all sizes?
I would say it's happening already because most firms are using these digital tools to perform their work.
And what are the biggest barriers found to adoption? Cost,
I think that the biggest barriers, I would say, maybe people being afraid of change, especially old school auditors. They're afraid of trusting these tools that are being developed to assist them into performing their work.
the architecture or framework which you have shown, is it linear or cyclic?
I'm sorry?
You have shown the architecture, which is the pinwheel
Yeah.
diagram, right?
Yes.
So what does it suggest? Is it linear or is it cyclic?
I wouldn't say that it's linear. I would say it's much more cyclic.
Okay, it is cyclic, right?
Yes.
So what happens when one of the stage is fails? In the architecture you have shown four stages, and one of the stage does not work up to the mark. What happens at that time?
Sorry, sir, can you please repeat the question?
Okay, I do repeat. Uh, what happens when one of the stage in the architecture does not work or it fails?
Oh, okay. I guess just to can I just go back to the answer that I gave you previously? Because I would say if you're talking about the framework that's being developed, yes, I would say it's linear because I feel like you need to start with strategic alignment before you can go on with the next phases. I think maybe I didn't hear the question that you asked properly. That's why I answered how I answered it. So I think the approach, the framework that has been developed, I would say it's much more linear.
If at some point of time any particular stage does not work, then what
Yes.
happens?
Well, I guess it will have to go back to the first phase, which is alignment again, before you move on to the next stage. If something doesn't work, let's go back and realign to make sure that everything moves in order.
In that case, we have to start from scratch.
Sorry, sir?
So in that case, we have to start from the step number one, is it?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, okay, thank you, Tokozani. Okay, thanks for the
Oh, thank you.
presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your presentation, sir. Now I would like to call upon our next presenter for this session. Our next presenter is Zumna Usman, presenting a paper on the title Reassessing Confidentiality and Availability of the RUAP Matrix-Based RFID Authentication Protocol. I request you to kindly take over with your presentation, please, ma'am.
Thank you for introducing me, Prashi. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Let me just share my screen.
Yes, it is visible.
Okay, great. Greetings to all. My name is Zumna Osman from the National University of Sciences and Technology, Pakistan. And today I'll present our work titled Reassessing Confidentiality and Availability of the RUAP Metrics-Based RFID Authentication Protocol. In this work, we perform the first security evaluation of RUAP and demonstrate two practical attacks that affect its confidentiality and availability. IoT is becoming the nervous system of the physical world. At its foundation is the perception layer, where the sensors and RFID devices collect real-world data. If IoT is the nervous system, then the perception layer becomes its sensory nerves. But an important question is that what happens if those sensors start lying? IoT is not slowing down, it's accelerating. According to Finances Online, there were about 8 billion connected devices in 2010, and IoT Analytics reports over 20 billion devices in 2020, and estimates between 30 to 50 billion devices in 2030. Physical security is the first line of defense. Systems assume that a credential equals a legitimate user. If that assumption fails, the entire security architecture weakens. And identity and access management depends completely on getting this authentication step right. This leads us to RFID, which is widely used for identification because it is low cost and lightweight. But these design constraints can introduce security weaknesses which need to be secured. A typical RFID system consists of a tag that communicates wirelessly with the reader, and the reader forwards messages to the backend server for verification. So authentication depends on secure message exchange across these three entities. To understand why this problem is serious, let's look at a real-world example. In 2008, London's Oyster cards were shown to be clonable due to weaknesses in the MyFair classic authentication protocol. Attackers duplicated cards and manipulated balances without hacking the backend servers. So the failure was not the infrastructure, it was the authentication design. Now that we've seen the real world impact, let's look at existing research. Many ultra lightweight RFID protocols claim confidentiality, mutual authentication, and privacy. However, later cryptanalysis has repeatedly revealed vulnerabilities such as secret recovery, impersonation, and desynchronization. A key reason is that most of these protocols rely heavily on simple operations like XOR and rotation, which are lightweight, yes, but also mathematically very easy to reverse and exploit. Despite these repeated breaks, the random rearrangement block matrix-based ultra-lightweight RFID authentication protocol, or RUAP, was proposed with strong security claims. To the best of our knowledge, no published cryptanalysis has yet identified any vulnerabilities in it. Given this gap, the core problem becomes clear. RUAP claims strong security properties, but it has not been rigorously evaluated under structured multi-session cryptanalysis or active adversarial conditions. Therefore, a systematic security analysis of RUAP is required. Based on this problem, the objective of our research is to evaluate RUAP against the three fundamental security properties: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. The goal is to verify whether their security claims truly hold under structured cryptanalysis or not. Now let's focus on RUAP, a protocol proposed for ultra-lightweight IoT environments. Here, the diagram shows how messages are exchanged between the tag, reader, and server in RUAP. When the server receives its first message, it verifies it and updates its dynamic keys, then forwards a message which causes the reader to update its key, and finally the tag updates its key as well. From the equations and public messages, we can see what primitives are being used by RUAP. These include OR, AND, XOR, and rotation, where XOR and rotation are similar to those used in earlier ultra-lightweight protocols. However, RUAP introduces a new primitive called mhash, which incorporates non-triangular operations to improve mixing. So mhash is a lightweight hash function composed of multiple steps. It permutes input bits, divides them into unequal blocks, and applies metric-based bitwise mixing to produce the final output. This slide shows the memory architecture of RUAP. Each entity stores two types of information. There's static memory, which remains unchanged throughout the protocol, and dynamic memory, which is updated after every successful authentication session. The edge server additionally stores the previous session key to recover from synchronization failures. But as we'll see later, this recovery mechanism can itself be exploited to launch a desynchronization attack. Before discussing the attacks, let's define the adversary model. We build upon the insecure communication assumptions made in the original RUAP paper, where an attacker can observe and interfere with protocol communication. Accordingly, we consider an attacker who can eavesdrop, intercept, modify, inject, replay, and selectively block messages exchanged between the protocol entities. Using these capabilities, we evaluate RUAP's confidentiality and availability. Now I'll explain the methodology I'll be using to analyze the protocols. To evaluate RUAP, I've designed two structured attacks, targeting its confidentiality and availability. So for confidentiality, I apply a probabilistic disclosure or Tango attack, which observes multiple authentication sessions to approximate the secret tag identifier. For availability, I'll be implementing a desynchronization attack by blocking selected messages to gradually force the tag and server out of synchronization. This slide provides a high-level overview of the methodology, and I'll explain each tag in more detail in the following sections. Let's start with the Tango attack that I'll explain using an 8-bit example. These here are the initial secret values, and below are two captured authentication sessions. From these public messages, I've constructed multiple linear equations using only XOR and NOT operations. These equations over here, just to give you an idea of how the candidate equations are formed. The most interesting and critical part of the Tango attack is selecting the good approximation equations. All candidate equations are evaluated over 1,500 authentication sessions for a realistic approach. And the higher the number of sessions, the better the results will be. For each session, the output of an equation is XORed with the tag identifier or the secret value, and the Hamming weight is computed. These Hamming weights are then averaged across all sessions. Based on these average Hamming weights, we then proceed to select the good approximation equations. One of the main selection criteria is that the average Hamming weight must be less than half of the identifier length. So for a realistic 96-bit identifier, the Hamming weight should be less than 48, as you can see in this table over here. All equations that satisfy this less than half Hamming weight condition can be further refined as well. So for the scaled version, I tested different combination or different sets of these equations, and each combination was used to reconstruct the identifier. And the recovery accuracy was then compared. The subset that consistently produced the highest and most stable results was selected. And in this case, I chose 15 strong approximation equations and finalized them for identifier recovery. After selecting the good approximation equations, the next step is bit recovery. For each bit position, we count how many times a 1 appears across all selected equations and sessions. Looking at the table, the number of 1s appearing in each column is counted and placed in a vector A. We then apply a threshold, gamma in this case, which is calculated based on the number of equations and sessions as can be seen by this equation over here, the threshold equation. The condition is that if the count exceeds the threshold, the bit is decided as 1, otherwise it's 0. So using this decision rule, we create a conjecture identifier, which in this example perfectly matches the original tag identifier. The same Tango tag was then scaled to the full 96-bit version of our UAP, and across 10 different randomly selected tag identifiers, the attack achieved a highest recovery rate of 72.9% with an average recovery rate of 71.7%, and these results confirm consistent information leakage under a multi-session analysis. Now from confidentiality, let's move to availability through a desynchronization attack, which will be performed between the server and tag. For simplicity, I'll be removing the reader as its main task is just to forward the messages. And to make the attack easier to understand, let's focus on two key messages in each session, labeled A and B over here. So this slide shows the initial synchronized state, and the server maintains 2 copies of the secret key for recovery purposes, whereas the tag stores only a single copy. And these are the old and new keys at the server. In session 1, messages A and B are exchanged normally between the server and the tag. Both sides authenticate successfully and update their secret keys. In the second session, message B is blocked by the adversary. As a result, the server updates its key, but the tag does not, and this creates a temporary mismatch as can be seen over here. Also notice the star marked on message B in this session because this blocked message will be later replayed by the adversary. In this session, the server first attempts verification using its newest key copy, but verification fails because the tag is still operating on the previous key state. The server then checks its stored older copy and successfully authenticates, since that state still matches the tag. To recover, the server attempts to resynchronize by keeping the previous key copy active while maintaining its recovery window. However, message B is blocked again, and this repeated blocking increases the gap between the server and tag states, resulting in partial desynchronization. In session 4, the adversary now replays the previously blocked message B, the one marked with the star earlier. And the message from session 2 causes the tag to move to key state 3. At this point, the server and tag no longer share any common valid key copy. The recovery window is exceeded, and this resulted in permanent desynchronization. Summarizing the results for our UAP, confidentiality is weakened due to multi-session information leakage demonstrated through the Tango attack, and availability is broken through the desynchronization attack. However, breaking integrity was not feasible primarily due to the mhash function used in our UAP, which strengthens message verification as discussed earlier. Overall, these findings show that our UAP's claim security guarantees do not fully hold under structured cryptanalysis. To conclude, this work presented the first cryptanalysis of the RUAP protocol. Our analysis showed that confidentiality and availability can be compromised through practical attacks, while integrity remained resilient under our attack model. Overall, our work highlights that lightweight design alone is not sufficient, and RFID authentication protocols must also be rigorously evaluated against realistic cryptanalytic attacks before deployment. Finally, these are my references, and with that, I conclude my presentation. Thanks.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I would like to ask our session chair. Sir, do we have any questions from your end?
Yes, ma'am. Hello, Zuma.
Yes, please. Yes, please, sir.
You separate confidentiality and availability as two distinct properties, right? Being addressed
Yes.
here. So
Yes.
are these independent vulnerabilities, or does breaking one enable the other?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the last part.
Okay, are they independent or they are dependent? That means breaking one will cause the other.
Right, they are completely independent, sir. So the CIA triad, which is a very famous terminology in cybersecurity, confidentiality, availability, and integrity. they are completely independent from each other and have different meanings. So confidentiality protects the information from being disclosed, whereas availability is something that means that can legitimate users still use the system. So they are independent from each other and broken through different attacks.
Cross attack on availability does not affect the confidence.
I'm so sorry, sir, your voice is breaking up.
Cross attack on confidentiality will not affect anymore the availability. Is it what you want to convey?
Yes, I believe so.
My next question is, do you propose a fix or an improved protocol, or is this purely a cryptanalysis paper?
Yes, so the paper that I've written, I've included a discussion session section over there. And for the Tango attack, or for the confidentiality attack, I've suggested a stronger hash function to be used. So there is Nest, the standardized Nest. Sorry, Nest has introduced a standardized ask function for hash, which is called the ask-on hash, and it improves diffusion and reduces statistical leakage. So that is something that would improve us from breaking confidentiality. And for availability, there's something that the thing that I suggested was that I'd redesign the key update process so the tag and server update is only confirmed after synchronization. And they also maintain a larger recovery window. So in this case, in our UAP's case, the server only stores 2 copies. But since tag is resource constrained, yes, but the server is not, we can have the server contain, for example, 10 key copies. So doing that would be much harder. So for 2 key copies, we only needed 4 sessions to break or cause desynchronization. But for 10 sessions, it would be more difficult. And there is a certain thing that, or a certain number of sessions after which the protocol can kind of close off from the adversary. So it wouldn't let it.
Okay. So you have used tab hash function, right, in this work. Oh, am I audible?
Very barely, sir. Could you please repeat it?
Okay. You have used tab hash function
Yes.
for your
Yes.
experiment, right? And you have shown that it is lightweight. So how is it lightweight? How many blocks in tab hash function?
Yes. So mhash is actually this is actually a hash function that's been introduced by the original authors of the RUAP paper. So it has different steps, but it's completely lightweight because it only uses primitives like permutation or XOR or rotation and stuff. It doesn't use any heavy weight primitives.
Okay. Any other alternative of Hamming weight?
Hemingweight, well, I think Hemingweight is very standardized because every time I think out of all the papers I've read in the literature, everyone uses Hemingweight because that is one of the most lightweight things. And it's actually it's not that secure, but it's somewhat secure. So I wouldn't say anything else.
Oh, thank you for all the answers. And very, very nice presentation. Nice talk even.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your presentation. Now I would like to call upon our next presenter for the session. Our next presenter is Rajiv Ghai, presenting a paper on the title Cell and Chain Agri, a selective field encryption framework for privacy preserving agricultural supply chains on Solana blockchain. I request you to kindly take over with your presentation, sir.
Thank you, Kashi ma'am, for letting me.
Can see your screen now, sir.
Should I start?
Yes, please, sir.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Rajiv Ghai, research scholar at MGPA University, Rohilkhand University, Bareilly, India. I am presenting paper number 141, Cell in Chain Agri. Before I explain what that means, let me tell you about a farmer. Imagine a tomato farmer in Kicha, Uttarakhand, India. 3 months of work, 1000 kilogram of tomato ready for harvest. He agreed to sell a retailer at 42 rupees per kilogram. 42,000 rupees. His family income for the season. Now imagine his neighbor, another farmer, can see that price on the same public ledger. Tomorrow, the neighbor undercut him by 2 rupees. The retailer switches. He loses the deal not because his tomatoes were worse, because his price was never private. This is not hypothetical. A study by Campbell and colleagues found data privacy is the single biggest reason Indian farmers resist blockchain-based supply chain. 700 million Indians uses smartphone, but they do not trust digital system with their commercial data. This paper solved that problem. Every agriculture supply chain faces the same tension. Consumer want transparency. Where did this crop come from? It is satisfied, but farmer, processor, and retailer need confidentiality of price, of buyer identity, of quality score. Public blockchain like Solana give us transparency, but everything is visible to everyone. Private permission blockchain like Hyperledger Fabric give us confidentiality, but they need a trusted central authority, a central administrator, which defeat the point of decentralization. Every existing system forces us to choose one property and sacrifice the other. This tension is sharpest in India. Smallholder farmers are fragmented, and government platforms like eNam are pushing more for more transparency, even as commercial privacy becomes more important. Indian Digital Personal Data Protection Act 2023 now legally require data minimization. System must not expose more information than necessary. So this is not academic, it is legal, real and economic requirement for over 600 million Indian farmers. I review 13 papers in this space. Solana alone satisfies 5 of 8 stakeholder requirements I identified. Hyperledger Fabric satisfies 6 of 8 dual chain architecture. Running two separate blockchains together satisfy 7 of 8 but needed trusted cross chain relay and double the infrastructure. Nobody had solved this on a single, fully decentralized public blockchain. This is the gap. I call it cell in chain agree, a selective field encryption framework. Here is the idea in one sentence. Split every record into public field and confidential fields. Public field, crop type, organic, certification, stay in plain text, visible to anyone. Confidential field, price, quantity, buyer identity get encrypted on the farmer on device using the farmer existing Solana wallet. No new key, no trusted third party, no central administrator, all on one blockchain. Here is a simple version. Every Solana wallet already has a signing key ED25519. My first contribution is a formally specified method to mathematically drive a second key X25519 from the same wallet seed using the RFC 7748 standard. That derived key is what make encryption possible. Think of the farmer price like it is locked in a small locker. I do not hand out the locker master key to anyone directly. Instead, I make a sealed copy of it for each authorized person, one sealed envelope for the processor, one for the regulator, each one locked so only that one person can open their own envelope. The blockchain store the locker plus all the sealed envelope. It never see what is inside. Everyone else just see a lock box. The system has four parts, all on Solana. Think of them as four rooms in one building, an identity register that maps each wallet signing key to its derived encryption key, a supply chain program that stores the batch and even record, public field in plain text, confidential field as ciphertext, a client-side encryption room where all the cryptography happens, so the blockchain itself never see a single byte of plain text private data, and a revocational registry for when a key is compromised. See on-chain program account in total. No off-chain server, no centralized database. My first technical contribution is that drive ED25519 to X22519, fully specified step by step for Solana wallet specify. Think of like this: our Solana wallet signing key is like our house door key. It proves a transition relay came from us. Encryption need a different kind of key, like a locker key. Without my work, the farmer would need to carry both keys separately. My contribution derived the locker key mathematically from the same house key, same 12-word recovery process, two jobs, zero extra key to manage, no barrier work. Specify this derivation completely for agriculture blockchain system. This is the first complete specification. My second contribution fixes a real cryptographic flaw. The security standard RFC 5116 is clear. Never reuse the same nonce with the same key. When we encrypt one key for multiple authorized party, Navy implementation reviews the same nonce for every replication copy, usually all zero. That is dangerous. If two of these copies ever line up, an attacker can combine them and recover the standard secret. My fix gives every recipient key capsule its own independent random nonce. I tested this directly. 50 out of 50 unauthorized decryption attempts were blocked and cross capsule recovery failed every time. I analyze this under Dolbeyev model. The attacker controls the entire network, can interrupt and replay on any message, but cannot break the underlying cryptography. I tested six thread categorized against my live protocol prototypes, unauthorized decryption, 50 attempt, all block, ciphertext tampering, 20 modify message, all rejected. Replay attacks blocked by Solana on transition expiry, identity spooning, and unauthorized submission, both blocked by on-chain verification. 6 out of 6 thread categories, 100% pass rate, not simulated, tested against a real deployed program. I compare sell in chain agree against three alternatives across eight stakeholder requirements from the literature. Solana alone, 5 of 8 fail on privacy, everything is public. Hyperledger Fabric, 6 of 8 fail on permissionless access, need a certified authority. Dual chain, 7 of 8, the best alternative, still need a center authority for one requirement. Cell in chain agree, 8 of 8, the only architecture that satisfies every requirement on a single fully decentralized public blockchain. Now I want to show you something most conference paper cannot. Not a simulation, not a diagram, real transition on a live public blockchain on 27 Feb 2026 from my home in Kicha, Uttarakhand, India. I ran this system against the Solana DevNet. I submitted farmer Ram tomato batch and a harvest event. Both transitions are verified right now at explorer.com, solana.com on DevNet, searching this batch against address. Uh, should I show the this genuine work, this program ID?
So we have completed our 10-minute mark. So accordingly, I request you to kindly
Okay, okay,
bifurcate your time for your
okay,
conclusions.
okay.
Yes.
Uh, you can see right now, right here in the plain text, the crop type, tomato, farmer, name, location, Kicha, everything. I will show that. Okay. The three technical combinations are: first, the complete formal specify ED 25519 to X25519 key division for Solana wallet, zero key extra key management. Second, the corrected per capsule nonce scheme, eliminating a real key stream refuse voluntary in multi-party encryption. Third, a key remotion protocol. If a wallet is ever compromised, a vector record can be re-encrypted, excluding the compromised key with the forward secrecy for everything after that point. Together, these three contributions make selective field encryption practically secure and deployed on Solana. This is a working prototype and I am honest about its limitation. The security argument is construction level, not a complete formal proof. That is future work. Testing so far cover two DevNet transition. Mainnet scale testing is next. Looking forward, I want to pilot this with real agriculture cooperative across e-name register market in Uttar Pradesh, India, and extend it to a encrypted analyst so regulator can compute aggregate statistics without ever seeing individual farmer private data. Agriculture supply chain have always been forced to choose between transparency and privacy. Sell in chain agree prove you do not have to choose. Using a farmer existing wallet with zero key management, it satisfies all 8 stakeholder requirements, passes 100% of security tests across 6 set category, and it's running right now on a live public DevNet blockchain. Not a simulation, not a white paper, a working system built for a farmer in Kicha, Uttarakhand, India, and ready for every farmer like him across India. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I would like to ask our session chair, do we have any questions from your end, sir?
Yes, thank you, Rajiv, for a good presentation, even for a good concept. Uh, my question is, Solana has had a notable network outage in the past, right?
Yes, sir.
So how does your framework handle the chain downtime or congestion?
Sir, pardon, please.
How does your framework, which you have proposed, handle the chain downtime?
Sir, in my framework for sir, earlier Solana was having the downfall, but now it is not having the that downfall. But
Yes, please.
uh, sir, I addressed this in section in my paper section 7-8. Three migrate are built into the design. Client side chaining, Algorithm second, that was revolution account check, can catch revolution state with a configuration TTL. So decryption work even if the RPC node is temporarily unreachable endpoint, and the client can be configured with fallback RPC provider. Solana has hundred of validator globally unavailable is extremely rare. Solana mainnet uptime has been above 99.9% since 2022 after the 2021 outage were addresses. Offline reads, once encrypted data is fetched and cached locally, decryption run entirely client-side blockchain needed.
Okay. So in your architecture, who holds encryption key or the selectively encrypted fields? The armor or central authority?
So pardon?
Who manages the decryption key for selectively encrypted fields? Who manages that? Who holds that? Armor or central authority?
Sir, no one manages.
How decryption will take place?
Uh, I am not getting the question. Please.
Okay, it's fine. It's fine.
Uh,
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Rajiv. Thanks for the presentation.
okay, thank you.
Thank you so much for your presentation, sir. Now I would like to call upon our next presenter for this session. Our next presenter is Austin Jojo Jala, presenting a paper on the title Transformer-Based Language Models for Conversational AI, a Comparative Study. I request you to kindly take over with your presentation.
Okay, 1 minute, please. Sorry, can you see my screen now?
Just a second, sir. Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you very much. Hi everyone. I'm Austin Jojo Jala, student of Data Megi, studying data science, and I would like to thank the organization for affording me the time to present this my uh, comparative studies. This comparative studies is based on transformer-based languages in conversational AI. So the introductory part. We all know that artificial intelligence of nowadays, like traditional artificial intelligence, like Siri, like ChatGPT, like Google Gemini, all these AI tools mostly uses transformer to help understand language and context. One of the main purpose of transformer into these AI tools are basically for self-attention, underlining words, understanding the intent of the words, and proceeding. So these transformer have greatly improved conversational AI by enabling machines to understand and respond to human languages more effectively. Then uses advanced mechanism to understand the context, helping AI to generate more accurate, meaningful response. It also helps AI conversation more natural and interactive. That way, in further explanation, you will get, we did a comparative studies on some transformer like a BERT, like GPT and that of T5, and you will know their various states. So now, yeah, these are the transformer models. We did our comparative studies on BERT, on GPT, and that of T5. Sorry, and that of T5. So BERT, what is BERT? The use of BERT transformer is mostly for encoding. It accepts words, it accepts just text. Like for example, when we ask a short or simple question, what is this? It understands that and it encode it and give you answers. but it's not mostly used for a conversation, like going back and forth, giving feedback. For that, we use GBT, which is generative pre-trained. It decodes, it accepts, and it also gives answers. And if you are not satisfied, you can give a response or feedback and back and forth, and that's how the conversation works. And that of the next one is T5. T5 is both encoder and decoder. It is mostly used for multitasking and is very strong and flexible. Now, the comparative analysis between these, in the paper, there is more comparative analysis, but just for time factors, I have to just summarize it very short. So the comparative studies of these three transformer BERT, as I previously stated, it intent detections. It only uses just underlying words, understands the meaning, and get the best response for it. But for GPT is mostly open domain for dialogue, going back and forth with asking and getting feedback. And that of T5 is for multitasking, dialogue, question, and summary. But you for sorry. For the adaptability of BERT, GPT and T5, BERT is mostly used for the specific fine tuning, and fine tuning is like training training or transformer to do a specific task. So it's mostly used for a specific task, understanding the word, the context of the word, and giving a response to it. But GPT is for a specific task also, but it deals basically with rewards and that of human feedback, which is reinforcement learning and that of human feedbacks. And the T5 is adaptable, it's good for multitasking and it accepts any task at a time. So the evaluation that I did was the transformer you see mostly in conversational AI tools is mostly used for language understanding, coherence, fluency, and that of context retention, computational efficiency, and adaptability. Language understanding, it understands the word, it understands the conversation, how complex it is, it analyzes, and then it gives you your response. The coherence and fluency, it has to pair the word, knows the meaning, because sometimes we give in prompts or randomly with our coherence. So it picks few words that is correlating and find the perfect correlation and then give you a better output. The context retention, it maintains the relevant information. Like if you start the conversation of these AI tools, like you start by maybe mentioning your name in the latter stage, and then if the conversation goes on and on, it maybe probably you ask a question that you asked earlier. It will give you respond directly to what you stated earlier because of its retention, a competition, efficiency, and adaptability. It adapts to any specific training and any types of model. Now, fine tuning and alignment techniques. These are techniques that are used on these transformer to help to give it more, to be more proactive and more accurate. Like supervised fine tuning is used for a specific task by labeling the data, optimizing performance of a specific domain. Reinforcement learning, we all know reinforcement learning has to do with reward. It's a reward-based learning system. And instruction based is instituting or giving an instructions to these transformer to perform a specific task. Reinforcement learning, human feedback, and prompt engineering can improve the helpfulness and flexibility of conversational query. Furthermore, there's an application that most of these transformers are used on our day-to-day in customer support, healthcare, educations, virtual assistance, and content generation. Like customer support is mostly used for, assisting 24 hours assistance, like going back and forth for customer, giving feedback and accepting and responding to them. In healthcare, patient educations like suppose decision assistance on application and patient data, like for education, personalized learning supports, and adaptive feedback, like virtual assistant, like natural interaction across everyday tasks and informations, content generation, like text creation, summary, and the specific domain of language tags. But all of these, the help of transformer towards these conversational AI, like some conversational AI that I earlier stated, like Sari, like Google Gemini, ChatGPT, and many more. But there are some challenges, and these are one of the major things that I find today that most of developer or deployer faces today, like the biasness with when it comes to the data that they work with. Sometimes these chatbots or these AI tools gives you some information that is relatively not, not accepted because of the way it was trained, because of the bias in the data set, which means the data, it wasn't trained properly, it wasn't trained with enough set of data. And hallucinations, it's like you sometimes on our daily basis, we know something, we know some information, but we want to test these AI tools. We ask our questions, and then they will give something extraordinary, unsupportive information or false information. And we all know, and we will laugh with it, that's one of the challenges with these AI transformer in these AI tools. And accountabilities is one of the major thing, because all of these challenges that is happening to these AI tools these days, the deployer, the developer, and that of we the end users, no one wants to take accountability of it. Who is to be blamed? Who has the error? Who is responsible for these AI tools not responding the proper way? So we have to take responsibility. We have to look into this and take responsibility. Privacy and security with data set, with the informations where we get, and train these transformer, we need to provide a strong security towards it. And the computational cost has to do with the mechanism, the tools that we use, how costly they are. So future directions. Now, in this transformer, in more years to come, the direction of this transformer are grossly going towards REST, or self-reflected REST, which is the ground response in external and up-to-date knowledge to reduce factor errors. And the model integration, combining language, images, speech, and other signals to readjust the interactions, to not give it some, errors or some leakage whenever he's in the conversational state. Like continual learning process to adapt adequately and learn faster without just pre-training it, but in the process of the conversation to learn faster and not to improve on the daily basis, like the efficient AI, compression pruning, quantizations and edge deployment, like responsible AI, the fairness, the explainability, the privacy, and that of the human-centered oversight. So to conclude for this paper, just a brief analysis. The transformer architecture have significantly improved conversational AI, like BERT, excel in language understanding the word that is used or input, and GPT is mostly used for generation, understanding the word, understanding the context, and giving a response, and that of T5, which is unified multitasking, both BERT and GPT. So model selection should consider performance, context retention, adaptability, and computational requirement. Fine-tuning, reinforcement learning, and human feedback, REG and multi-model learning can improve capability and reliability. This future system must be more factor, efficient, ethical, and privacy must be a context of sensitivities. Thank you very much for affording me the time, and I'm open to accepting questions.
Thank you so much. I would like to ask our session chair, sir, any questions?
Yes. So in your comparative study, which GPT model you have considered? Is it GPT-2, GPT-3, 4? Because there are various versions of the GPT.
Yeah, I know there are various versions of GPT, but it's just a comparative studies that takes into consideration all these GPTs models.
Right. And in the comparative table, you have shown some scaling quality value like high, moderate, standard, right?
So, sorry?
So in comparative table, you have shown high, moderate, low kind of thing for a specific model, right?
Yes.
So can we have quantitative figures for the same features?
You coming broken, I'm not getting you, sorry.
Uh, my question is,
Yes.
instead of high for a specific model, for a specific feature, can we give any numerical numbers, numerical values to that feature? You might have studied in the literature that instead of high, you could have written some specific number.
Yes, but I could have done that, but for this summary, I couldn't have add that figure. I'm sorry for that. I couldn't have add that figure, but I just characterize it based on uh the nominal standpoint by accepting it as high or semi-high and that of more efficient.
Okay, that's very okay. My last question is, what is your recommendation from this study for any specific model? Is it GPT? It is another model. What is your recommendation?
Are you coming broken?
From this comparative study, could you identify any specific model which works better than other?
Yes, but is it also it just show itself like these three modules are basically for a specific task when you are using the fine tuning. But the best to me is a T5 model because it's a multi-task, it included equals and also T codes. So to me the T5 model is better. But my own is just about working on the adaptability of the training process, not for it to not flush into error sometime, like as I previously stated. By sometimes some questions and you ask these or AI tools and they give you something different like hallucination. So it's just the process of training. But the best model among these three is T5 to me.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Austin. Thank you for all the answers.
Thank you so much for your presentation, sir. All right. With this, we come to the conclusion of our session. I sincerely thank all our authors. I sincerely thank all our authors for their excellent presentations and contribution in this session, and all our participants for being a part of this international conference. I hope the session was informative enough. Uh, One second, just, all right. Okay. I sincerely thank all our authors for their excellent presentations and contributions in this session, and all our participants for being a part of this international conference. I hope this session was informative enough. We, on behalf of the whole team, thank you for your support during this 10th version and all the previous 9 versions of this conference. We'll be happy to have you in the 11th version in 2027. All presenters will be getting their digital certificates through email within 2 working days. The publications will be live within 7 to 8 months, so kindly cooperate with the team of WorldS4 2026. I would like to thank our session chair, Dr. Uttam Chauhan. Thank you so much, sir, for being a part of this session. As we conclude our session today, sir, would you like to give us your valuable feedback and closing before we end this session, sir?
Yes, yes, sure. I sincerely thank all the presenters for sharing their valuable research and insight. All the papers and presentations were up to the mark. I could see the novelty in the papers. I also thank the conference organizers, moderators, and technical teams for ensuring the smooth conduct of this session. It has been a pleasure serving as a session chair for you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. I would just like to present a token of appreciation to you, sir, on behalf of the team of WorldS4 2026 and Global Knowledge Research Foundation and partners. Thank you so much, sir, for being a part and for your valuable feedback, sir. Now, I just request all of you all to please switch on to your cameras so that we can have a quick snapshot of this virtual session we just attended. Requesting all of you all to please switch on to your cameras so that I can have a quick snapshot of this virtual session we just attended. Requesting participants and guests, if possible, to please switch on to your cameras. Thank you so much for being there for this session, and we'll meet you in 2027. Thank you so much. Stay safe. Take care. Thank you so much.
Thank you all once again. Thank you, Prashi ma'am.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Thank you for being a part, sir.